The full moon hung low over the jagged mountains, casting silver light over the dense forest. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig carried the weight of unseen eyes, eyes that belonged to those who feared the cursed Omega. Lyria had always known her life would be different. Born into a clan that prized strength and fertility, she was marked from the beginning as imperfect. Whispers followed her wherever she went, a chorus of cruel reminders that she was cursed. Even her own family had abandoned hope the moment the elders declared her barren. They said it's in the bloodline. Her mother had whispered once, tears streaking her face. You'll never carry a child. You are nothing. And yet Lyria survived, each rejection, each cruel remark, carved into her a resilience no one understood. She wandered the forest at night, wrapped in her dark cloak, the howls of distant wolves mingling with her own quiet despair. It was on one of these moonlit nights that she first saw him. Alpha Kale, king of the Ironclaw pack, towered over the clearing, his silver fur gleaming under the moon. Eyes sharp as knives, they cut through the shadows and landed on her. Most would have fled, most would have trembled, but Lyria's heart, though scarred, refused to bow. You're the cursed Omega. Kale's voice rumbled like distant thunder. I've heard the stories. I am, she admitted without fear, though every instinct screamed to run, and I've grown used to them. Kale studied her. There was a flicker in his eyes, a storm of curiosity and something else he didn't want to name. Wolves were honest creatures. Kale's alpha instincts told him that beneath her sorrow, beneath the supposed curse, there was strength. Strength most alphas would kill to own. You should leave, he said, his voice low, a warning. This forest is not safe for the weak. I am not weak, she replied, her gaze unwavering. Something in Kale stirred, a pull he had never felt before. He turned, his cloak flaring in the wind, and left her in the clearing. But as he disappeared among the shadows of the trees, Lyria felt it too, a spark of destiny, cruel and inevitable, weaving their fates together. Weeks passed. Kale found reasons to appear where Lyria least expected him. A wolf in the market, a shadow in the forest. Each encounter burned a quiet tension between them, a mix of challenge and unspoken longing. One night under a sky swollen with stars, Kale finally spoke the words that changed everything. You hide more than your fear, Omega. You hide the power the pack has denied you. I will not let this curse define you. If it's a child you cannot carry, I will ensure the legacy continues. But there is something about you, something that defies the odds. Lyria's breath caught. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not with hope, not with challenge, not with desire. Before she could respond, a shadow lunged from the trees. A rival pack testing the Ironclaw Alpha's strength. Kale shifted mid-leap, a flash of silver fur and teeth. Lyria watched frozen, as the Alpha she had only glimpsed in fear and fascination fought with a grace and fury that made her chest ache with a strange longing. And in that moment, the moonlight caught Kale's eyes. Not just as an Alpha, but as a man who had seen something in her that no one else had dared to see. As the battle ended and the forest fell silent, Kale approached her. I am not one to be denied, Omega. And you are not to be ignored. Lyria, still trembling from fear and excitement, only nodded. Something deep within her whispered her life was about to change. Forever. Part 20. The Alpha's claim. Days turned into nights, and Lyria found herself drawn deeper into Kale's world, a world she had only glimpsed from the shadows. The Ironclaw pack was fierce, loyal, and unyielding, yet there was a code even Kale could not bend. Kale, meanwhile, could not shake the pull she exerted on him. Every time he saw her, every time her dark eyes met his, he felt a storm raging inside him. A mixture of desire, protectiveness, and something more primal, something he had never allowed himself to feel. You shouldn't wander alone, Kale said one evening as they walked through the moonlit forest. His hand brushed hers by accident, and a current of heat ran through both of them. The world doesn't forgive weakness. I am not weak, Lyria replied softly, though her chest pounded at the contact. I survive. That is all anyone has ever expected of me. Kale's lips curled into a half-smile, half-snarl. You survive, yes, but I wonder if you are truly living. The words struck her harder than any insult ever had. He saw her, not just her curse, not just the Omega others had rejected, but her. And in that moment, something shifted. Weeks passed, and Kale's visits became more than chance encounters. He trained her, tested her, pushed her to tap into strengths she hadn't known existed. And as the bond grew, so did their forbidden attraction. Every glance lingered too long. Every brush of skin was electric. One night, under the full moon, Kale finally claimed her. Not in violence, but in dominance, but a declaration of desire and possession that left Lyria breathless. You belong to me, he murmured, his hands cupping her face, eyes burning with a fierce light. No curse, no pack, no one can take you from me. Lyria's heart raced. She had been rejected her entire life, branded barren and worthless. But in Kale's arms, she felt seen, desired, powerful. The Alpha's touch ignited something deep within her, a fire she thought had long been extinguished. And then, the impossible happened. Months passed and Lyria began to feel changes within her body. Changes she had never imagined possible. Her curse, the one that had defined her life, the one that had cast her into isolation and despair, began to unravel. She carried life that was unmistakably Kale's. When she told him, Kale's reaction was a mixture of disbelief, awe, and an intensity that made her knees weak. Twins, she whispered, tears spilling down her face. I'm carrying your twins. Kyle's hands shook as he lifted her chin, eyes filled with a storm of emotion. The pack thought you were cursed. I thought I was the only one who could see your worth. But this is more than worth. This is destiny. The revelation sent ripples through their lives. The pack, initially skeptical, could not deny the bond that had formed between them. Rival factions, jealous alphas, and enemies began to sense the shift in power. The Omega, once rejected, now carrying the Alpha King's hairs. And in the quiet moments, when Kale held her beneath the moon, Lyria felt something she had never dared to hope for: love, protection, and a fierce, unbreakable bond that even a curse could not destroy. But the curse was not fully broken. Shadows of the past still lurked, threats from rival packs whispered through the night, and Lyria's newfound power made her a target. The twins she carried were a promise of the future, but also a beacon of danger. As Kale wrapped her in his arms, the wind carried the howl of distant wolves, a warning, a challenge, and a promise that their story was only beginning. Part 3D, Shadows of Threat. The forest no longer felt safe. Lyria could feel the tension in the air, a low hum of danger that whispered through the trees with every rustling leaf. News of the Omega carrying the Alpha King's twins had spread beyond the Ironclaw pack, and rival packs sensed an opportunity, an opening to strike at the Alpha through the woman he loved. Kyle never left her side. His protective instincts, already fierce, grew even sharper. Every shadow that moved, every rustle of the underbrush, made him bristle. The Alpha's growl became a constant undercurrent in the clearing they called home. Stay close, he ordered one night, his eyes scanning the forest. You are not to wander alone. Not now. Not ever. Lyria nodded, heart pounding, not from fear, but from the closeness of him. Every word Kale spoke, every brush of his hand, reminded her of the bond that had formed between them. A bond that no curse, no rejection, and no rival could break. Yet, danger was relentless. One moonless night, a shadow moved faster than her eyes could track. Lyria felt the cold brush of claws, the growl of a stranger pack surrounding them. Kale was instantly beside her, shifting mid-air, a blur of silver fur and lethal grace. His voice was a command that carried across the forest. None shall harm what is mine. The fight was brutal. Lyria watched, heart in her throat, as Kale fought with the ferocity of a storm. He was not just protecting her. He was protecting the future, the twins growing within her, the legacy that had been denied for so long. After the attackers fled, Kyle pulled her into his arms. She could feel the rapid thrum of his heartbeat against hers. You are mine, Lyria. Every part of you, he whispered. I will not allow anyone to harm you or our children. The near-death experience shifted something inside Lyria. Fear remained, but it was no longer paralyzing. Instead, it ignited a fierce courage. If she carried Cal's children, if they were the future of the Ironclaw pack, then she would not cower. She would fight. She would survive. Days turned into weeks. Lyria's body changed, the first signs of the twins making her womb swell, her energy shifting in ways she had never known. Kale was attentive, almost obsessively so, attending to every need, every ache, every flutter of life inside her. And yet the emotional tension between them simmered hotter than ever. Lyria longed for more than protection. She longed for the man behind the Alpha, the man who looked at her not as a vessel for hairs, but as a woman he desired, loved, and respected. One evening, as the moon rose full and golden, Cal drew her close by the forest's edge. You have changed everything for me, he murmured, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I never believed I could feel this way. But you, your strength, your courage, your heart, you've undone me. Lyria felt tears prick her eyes, a mix of fear, relief, and longing. And you, she whispered, have given me a life I never dreamed I could have. You've made me whole. Kyle's hand slid down to rest protectively over her belly. The twins inside her moved, as if answering his touch. A low growl of satisfaction escaped Kale's throat. They are ours, he said, voice deep and unwavering. And nothing, no curse, no rival, no threat, will take them from us. But the forest had ears, and even in the silence, danger loomed. Rival alphas plotted, enemies watched. And the curse that had branded Lyria Barren was not entirely gone. It was transformed, unpredictable, powerful, and possibly deadly. The calm before the storm had arrived. Lyria and Kale's bond had grown unbreakable, their love undeniable, and their future precious. But fate had yet to reveal its full cruelty, and soon, they would have to fight not just for survival, but for the very life of the family they were creating. Part 4: The Twins' Awakening. The forest was restless. Every gust of wind carried whispers. Every shadow seemed to shift with intent. Lyria could feel it, something stirring within her that went beyond mere pregnancy. The twins she carried were not ordinary, even in her womb. They exuded power, a force tied to both her and Kyle's bloodline. Kyle noticed it too. His keen alpha senses detected the subtle pulses of energy that seemed to radiate from Lyria. At first, he was cautious, unsure if the twins' power was a blessing or a curse. But as the days passed, the energy became undeniable, fierce and untamed. One evening, under a blood-red moon, Lyria clutched her belly as a wave of energy surged through her. Her vision blurred, her body trembling with power that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Kale was instantly at her side, his hands gripping her arms, eyes blazing with concern and something more primal. "You feel it, don't you?" Lyria whispered, voice shaking. Kyle nodded, his jaw tight. "Yes, they are extraordinary, stronger than I anticipated, and if others sense this, the pack will face threats unlike anything we've encountered." Before they could react further, a howl echoed through the trees, sharp, menacing, filled with envy and malice. A rival pack had come, drawn by the twins' awakening. Cal's growl rumbled like distant thunder as he shifted, silver fur gleaming under the moonlight, eyes locked on the approaching danger. "You will not harm them," he warned, his voice carrying an unearthly authority. "Or you will face the full fury of the Ironclaw Alpha." The battle was immediate, brutal. Lyria felt the twins' power respond to her fear and Cal's protective rage, a pulse of energy that radiated outward, destabilizing the attackers. Wolves cried out, some fleeing, others falling. It was as if the unborn children themselves were declaring dominance, ensuring their mother's safety. After the battle, Kale gathered Lyria into his arms, sweat and blood mingling on his fur and skin. "Do you understand now?" he murmured, pressing his forehead to hers. "They are our legacy. They are strong because of you. Because of us." Lyria's tears fell freely. "I was cursed, I was rejected, I never imagined I could carry life, let alone this power." Kyle held her tighter. "You are no longer cursed, Lyria. You are chosen. Not just by me, but by destiny. The pack, our children, they are proof. You are unstoppable." In the quiet that followed, Lyria felt a profound sense of connection, not just to Kale, but to the twins growing within her. She could sense their tiny movements, their awareness, and the bond they shared with their father. It was overwhelming, beautiful, and terrifying all at once. Kyle's hands rested protectively over her belly. "They are ours," he repeated, voice low and full of promise. "And I will die before letting anyone harm you or them." That night, under the blood moon, Kale and Lyria shared a moment of intimacy that transcended desire. It was a merging of souls, of futures, of destiny. They were not just lovers or mates. They were the foundation of a new era, a force that no curse, no enemy, and no rival could break. Yet, even as they embraced, the shadows lingered. The rival pack would not give up, and whispers of ancient curses connected to Lyria's bloodline began to surface. Their love, their family, and their very survival would soon be tested in ways neither could imagine. The twins were awakening. Cal's bond with Lyria was stronger than ever, and the world around them trembled in anticipation of the storm yet to come. Part 50. The rival pack strike. The forest was quiet that morning, almost unnaturally so. Lyria sensed it first, the stillness that comes before a storm. Her hands rested protectively on her growing belly, feeling the subtle movements of the twins. They were restless, aware, as if warning her of the danger approaching. Kale moved like a shadow beside her, every muscle tense, every sense alert. The Alpha knew the rival pack would not wait long. Word of the twins' power had spread too far, and envy made enemies bold. "They're coming," Kale muttered, eyes narrowing. "I can smell them. They want to take everything from us. Our pack, our family, our future." Lyria swallowed, heart racing. Fear still lingered, but it no longer paralyzed her. The twins' power pulsed in response to her resolve, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo her own heartbeat. The attack came at dusk. Wolves emerged from the shadows, claws flashing, eyes glowing with malice. Kyle shifted immediately, silver fur bristling, growls rolling from deep within him. Lyria felt the twins' energy surge, intertwining with Kale's alpha force, creating a protective aura around them. "You will not touch her," Kale roared, lunging into the fray. The battle was chaotic, feral, and primal. Lyria felt the forest tremble as claws and teeth met, as energy clashed with energy. She could feel the twins responding, amplifying Kale's power, sending waves of force that disoriented their attackers. One of the rival alphas, larger and older than Kale, broke through the line and lunged toward Lyria. Kale intercepted him with a ferocity that left the earth shaking. Lyria watched, powerless but filled with awe, as Kale's strength and the twins' awakening combined to protect her. The fight ended in a crescendo of howls, blood, and fire in the eyes of those who dared challenge the Ironclaw Alpha. The rival pack fled, broken and humiliated. Lyria trembled in Kale's arms, tears streaming down her face. Not from fear, but from relief and overwhelming love. Kyle lowered his head, pressing his forehead to hers. "You are safe," he whispered, hands cradling her belly. "Our children are safe, and no one will ever take you from me." Lyria placed her hand over his, feeling the warmth, the strength, the promise in every pulse. "We survived," she said softly, voice trembling. We are stronger than any curse, any enemy, any fear." Kyle's lips brushed hers in a kiss filled with passion, relief, and unspoken promises. It was more than desire. It was a binding, a declaration that they would face every danger together, that their love and family were unbreakable. As night fell, the forest returned to its quiet state, but Lyria knew this was only the beginning. The twins were growing stronger, their power intertwined with hers and Kale's, and the world around them had begun to notice. Enemies would return. Threats would rise, But together, Kale and Lyria were unstoppable, a force of love, strength, and destiny. And deep within her, the twins stirred, tiny fists punching the air, already aware of the legacy they were born into, a legacy of power, survival, and an unbreakable bond between their parents. The Alpha King and his Omega had faced rejection, curses, and danger. Now, with life growing inside Lyria, their story had only just begun, and the world would never be the same again. Part 6: Awakening of Power. The months passed, each day drawing Lyria closer to the moment when she would bring the twins into the world. But something extraordinary was happening. The twins were no ordinary children. They pulsed with energy, their presence amplifying Lyria's own latent power. The curse that had once defined her life was gone, replaced by a force that even Kale struggled to comprehend. One evening, as the full moon rose high, Lyria felt a sudden surge within her. The twins moved violently, their energy radiating outward in ripples that caused the leaves to shiver and the forest to tremble. Kale sensed it instantly, shifting to her side with instinctive protectiveness. "Lyria," he whispered, his deep voice trembling slightly with awe. "They're awakening. Can you feel it?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face as power surged through her veins. "It's overwhelming. But it's them. They're alive more than I imagined." Cal's hand went to her belly, feeling the subtle vibrations of life intertwined with energy. The twins were growing not just in body, but in strength. Lyria could sense their thoughts, their awareness of the world outside the womb, and even their connection to Cal. It was a bond that transcended words, a force that would shape the destiny of the Ironclaw pack forever. But with this awakening came danger. The rival pack, having witnessed the power surge, knew now that the Omega they had once scorned was no longer weak. They had underestimated her, and the consequences would be dire. One night, under a sky streaked with lightning, a coordinated attack struck the Ironclaw territory. Kale led the defense, his alpha roar shaking the very ground. Lyria, though pregnant and vulnerable, stood beside him, her energy flaring outward in a protective shield around the pack. The twins responded, their power pulsing in tandem with Lyria's, sending shockwaves that threw attackers off balance. "Stay close," Kale shouted, fangs bared, muscles coiled for the fight. "You are not alone, we are one." The battle was unlike anything either had faced. Wolves clashed with wolves, energy surged through the forest, and the very air seemed to vibrate with the combined force of the Alpha, the Omega, and the unborn heirs. Lyria felt her strength grow, her body no longer just carrying life, but channeling it, controlling it, using it to protect those she loved. When the dust settled, the rivals lay defeated, their arrogance crushed. Lyria sank into Kale's arms, exhausted but alive. "Well, we did it," she whispered, trembling with emotion. Kale pressed his lips to her temple, voice low and reverent. "No one can ever take you from me. You are twins, you are untouchable." That night, under the moon's silver glow, Cal and Lyria shared a moment of quiet intimacy, a promise of love and protection stronger than any magic or curse. Lyria felt the twins stir again, tiny hands pressing outward as if acknowledging their father's vow. The Omega, once rejected, cursed as Barren, now stood as the most powerful force in the Ironclaw territory, carrying within her the next generation of a legacy that would shake the supernatural world. But even as they embraced, a whisper of unease lingered. There were forces beyond their rivals, ancient powers, hidden enemies, and old curses that had yet to reveal themselves. Lyria's journey was far from over. The twins' birth would mark the beginning of a new era, and Kale and Lyria would need every ounce of love, courage, and strength to face the trials ahead. And in the quiet, Lyria felt a thrill of certainty. She was no longer the rejected Omega. She was a mother, a mate, and a force that could not be denied. The storm of destiny had only just begun. Part 7: The Birth and the Battle. The night was thick with anticipation. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Lyria's labor began. Every contraction brought a mix of pain, fear, and awe. The twins were not ordinary, they pulsed with power even in the womb, and their arrival was bound to shake the very foundations of the Ironclaw pack. Cal refused to leave her side. His hand never left hers, his touch grounding her, his voice a low rumble of encouragement and love. "You are stronger than you know, Lyria. Together we can face anything. I will protect you always." Lyria gasped as another wave of energy coursed through her. She felt the twins pushing, awakening fully as they prepared to enter the world. Cal's presence gave her courage. He shifted, instincts alert, as he felt the faint stirrings of danger even in this sacred moment. "You're not alone," Cal whispered fiercely. "They can't touch you. Not now. Not ever." The rival pack had not forgotten. Drawn by the twins' growing power, they launched a final assault, unaware that Cal and Lyria were ready. Wolves lunged through the trees, but Cal was a storm of silver fur and teeth, every movement calculated, precise, lethal. Lyria, though in labor, channeled the twins' energy, creating protective waves that threw the attackers back. Amid the chaos, Lyria screamed, not in fear, but in exertion and power, as the first twin entered the world. Kyle caught the newborn in his massive hands, his eyes wide with awe and reverence. The infant's eyes glowed faintly, a reflection of the strength they had inherited from both parents. The second twin followed moments later, equally powerful, their tiny bodies radiating energy that pulsed in harmony with Lyria and Kyle. The forest itself seemed to acknowledge their arrival, leaves shimmering, winds whispering, as if the land recognized the birth of a new generation of alphas. Kale pressed his forehead to Lyria's, voice trembling. They are perfect, our legacy, our future. Lyria, exhausted but glowing with power and love, held her children close, feeling their tiny hands respond to her heartbeat. Wev, we survived, she whispered. We are unstoppable. The rival pack, sensing the overwhelming energy, faltered and fled. Their arrogance had led them to underestimate the bond of an alpha, his omega, and their supernatural offspring. Kale's roar echoed across the forest, a declaration that no enemy could ever challenge their family again. In the quiet that followed, Lyria and Kale sat together, the twins nestled safely between them. The bond between them had reached its peak, not just as lovers, not just as mates, but as parents, protectors and partners in a destiny that would shape the supernatural world. You've given me everything, Kale murmured, brushing a strand of hair from Lyria's face. My omega, my family, my future. Lyria smiled through her exhaustion. And you've given me love, strength, and a life I never dared to dream of. We are more than a pack now. We are a legacy. The twins stirred, tiny hands reaching toward Kale and Lyria, a silent promise of the power and love they carried. The curse that had once haunted Lyria was gone, replaced by life, hope, and an unbreakable bond. Under the light of the full moon, the Ironclaw Alpha, his omega, and their newborn twin stood united. They had faced rejection, curses, enemies, and danger, but together they were unstoppable. The forest held its breath, and the night whispered a single truth: the legacy of Kale, Lyria, and their twins would change the world forever. Part 80: Legacy of Power. Weeks passed since the twins' birth, and the Ironclaw territory was alive with a new energy. Lyria, though still recovering, could feel the twins' power growing every day. Their abilities were extraordinary. Even their cries carried a resonance that could influence the pack, calming fears, strengthening bonds, and even sensing danger before it arrived. Kyle watched her and the children with a mixture of awe and reverence. Every glance he gave Lyria reminded him that she had not just survived the curse, she had transformed it into power that would define the future of the Ironclaw pack. They're remarkable, Kale murmured one evening as he held the twins close to the fire. Their tiny forms glowed faintly in the moonlight, energy intertwining with the warmth of the flames. Just like their mother. Lyria smiled, exhausted but radiant. They are a part of both of us. But it feels like they are more than we could have imagined. Like the world itself responds to them. Indeed, the forest seemed to hum with life. Plants grew stronger, the air shimmered with energy, and the pack thrived under the influence of the twins' presence. Lyria discovered she could channel her own energy through them, amplifying her senses and even communicating with Kyle silently over distances. The bond between Alpha, Omega, and children was unbreakable, but with power came responsibility and danger. Rumors of the Omega who had defied her curse and birthed twins of unprecedented strength spread across supernatural territories. Envious alphas and rival packs watched from afar, plotting, scheming, waiting for the right moment to strike. Kale, as ever, was vigilant. He trained the Ironclaw pack, prepared defenses, and ensured that Lyria and the twins would always be protected. And yet, even his unmatched strength could not quell the rising storm entirely. One night, under a crescent moon, Lyria felt a tremor in the air. The twins stirred, and their energy pulsed outward like a beacon. Kale sensed it immediately. Something approaches, he growled, eyes scanning the darkened forest. They know, and they are coming. Lyria took a deep breath, placing her hands over her belly. Let them come, she said, voice steady. They will find that we are not to be underestimated. Kale pulled her close, forehead pressed to hers. Together, he whispered, we face everything together. And together they did. When the enemy finally arrived, they were met with an overwhelming force. A united Alpha, Omega, and newborn twins whose power surpassed even the fiercest rivals. Wolves who had once underestimated Lyria now recognized her as the most formidable force in the land. The battle was brief but decisive. The twins, though small, radiated an energy that disrupted the attackers, amplified by Lyria and guided by Kale's command. By the time the dust settled, the rivals fled, leaving behind a territory and a family stronger than ever. That night Kale held Lyria and the twins close beneath the moon. You've given us everything, he murmured. Strength, love, and a legacy no one can challenge. Lyria smiled, feeling the twins stir, tiny hands pressing against both parents. And you've given me the life I never thought possible, a family, a home, and a love that burns brighter than any curse or shadow. The moonlight bathed them in silver, and the forest around them seemed to bow in acknowledgement of the new era. Lyria, the Omega once rejected and cursed, had become the heart of a powerful legacy. Kale, the Alpha King, had found not only a mate but a partner whose courage and power could shape generations, and the twins, the living embodiment of their love and strength, were destined to change the world forever. The Ironclaw pack had survived, they had thrived, and the story of Kale, Lyria, and their extraordinary family was only beginning. Part 90: The twins' first trial. The The forest was alive with whispers, the pack alert to every rustle of leaves, every distant howl. Lyria and Kale had grown into a rhythm, balancing love, protection, and leadership. Yet the twins were no longer content to remain unseen. Their powers had begun to manifest in small but undeniable ways. One evening, as the moon rose silver and full, Lyria held the twins close. Tiny waves of energy pulsed from them, brushing against her own senses, resonating with Kyle's alpha strength. Their cries shifted subtly, almost as if they were communicating with the pack telepathically. Kale's eyes narrowed. They're stronger than I imagined. The pack must learn to respect them, and we must teach them to control this power. Before they could consider how, a challenge arrived. A lone rogue wolf, emboldened by rumors of the Omega's miraculous twins, entered the territory. Its eyes gleamed with arrogance, teeth bared, clearly underestimating the combined force of Kyle, Lyria, and their offspring. Kyle's growl rolled through the trees, low and dangerous. You dare enter our land, he demanded, silver fur bristling. The rogue lunged, but even as it did, the twins reacted. Tiny, glowing bursts of energy emanated from Lyria's arms where they rested, sending the intruder staggering back in confusion. Kale intercepted with a sweep of his powerful form, pinning the rogue to the ground. Lyria, awestruck but calm, realized the twins were not just reacting. They were aware, understanding the danger, and acting to protect their family. Kale, they know, she whispered. They understand us and the pack. Kyle's eyes softened as he looked at her, pride and love shining through the tension. Our family unstoppable, he murmured. The rogue, recognizing the combined strength of Alpha, Omega, and newborn twins, fled humiliated and defeated. The pack gathered around, murmurs of awe spreading through the ranks. Lyria could feel the twins' excitement, their energy resonating with joy and confidence. That night, Kale held Lyria and the twins close beneath the stars. This is only the beginning, he said softly. They are destined for greatness, and we will guide them every step of the way. Lyria's heart swelled with pride and love. I never imagined that a rejected Omega, cursed as Barren, could carry so much power. And now together, we've created life that will shape the future. Kale pressed a kiss to her forehead, his hands gentle but possessive. And together nothing, no curse, no rival, no enemy can touch us. We are the Ironclaw legacy, and it begins with you, me, and our twins. The forest around them seemed to hum in agreement. The twins had passed their first trial, showing that their power was not just inherited but innate, connected to the bond between their parents. The challenges ahead would grow, rival packs would scheme, and threats would test their strength. But for now, in the glow of moonlight and love, Lyria, Kyle, and their extraordinary children embraced a moment of peace, a rare but precious pause in a life destined for legend. The Omega once rejected, the Alpha King, and their powerful twins had proven that love, courage, and destiny could triumph over even the darkest curses. Part Hun D. Rising threats and unseen enemies. The Ironclaw territory thrived, yet beneath the calm tension brewed. Rumors of the Omega who had defied her curse and birthed twins of immense power had spread far beyond the forest. Envious alphas, rogue packs, and ancient supernatural forces began to take notice, intrigued and threatened by the growing power of Kyle, Lyria, and their family. Lyria could feel it in the air, subtle tremors of energy, shadows that seemed alive, eyes that watched from the tree line. The twins, though still infants, sensed it too. Their tiny hands clenched instinctively, sending ripples of energy that resonated with Lyria and Kyle. They're coming, Kale murmured, eyes scanning the horizon. Something more than the usual threats. Lyria's hand rested on her belly, feeling the twins stir with urgency. I can feel it too, she said softly. They're aware. They know danger is near. Kyle nodded, his alpha instincts on high alert. We prepare. No one will harm our family. As night fell, a dark presence entered the territory. Unlike rival packs, this force was older, ancient, its power unlike anything Kyle had faced. The air shimmered with tension as shadows moved unnaturally, whispering threats that crawled beneath the skin. Kale shifted, muscles coiled like springs. Stay close, he ordered, voice low and commanding. You, our children, they will not touch. Lyria felt the twins' energy surge in response, stronger than ever before. Their power intertwined with hers, creating a protective aura that pulsed outward, warning the intruders that this family was not ordinary. They were unstoppable. The first wave of attackers arrived, wolves and supernatural beings alike, testing the boundaries of the Ironclaw pack. But Kale led with unmatched ferocity, every strike precise, every movement devastating. Lyria, her own energy amplified by the twins, created barriers and pulses of power that disoriented enemies, shielding the pack and reinforcing Kyle's dominance. The twins, tiny yet powerful, glowed faintly, their awareness guiding Lyria's actions. Every cry, every movement, was amplified into force, shaking the very ground and sending enemies fleeing in terror. When the last shadow fell, defeated, Kyle held Lyria and the twins close. His eyes, usually so fierce, were soft, filled with awe and love. They are extraordinary, he murmured. Just like you. Lyria smiled, exhausted but radiant. We are a family now. Together, we are unstoppable. Kyle pressed his forehead to hers. And we will face whatever comes next, together. Nothing can break this bond. Not curses, not enemies, not time itself. The forest was still, the moon casting silver light over the Ironclaw Alpha, his Omega, and their remarkable children. The twins had survived their first true test, their powers emerging in harmony with their parents' strength. The family's bond was solid, unbreakable, and the Ironclaw pack thrived under their guidance. Yet even in victory, Lyria knew the world was watching. Forces beyond rival packs, powers older than the forest itself, would challenge them. But for the first time, she did not feel fear. She felt power, love, and certainty. The Omega, once rejected, cursed as Barren, had become the heart of a legacy stronger than anything the supernatural world had ever seen. The storm of destiny had begun, and Kale, Lyria, and their twins were ready. Part unlearning the twins' first display. The forest was quiet in the early hours before dawn, but Lyria could feel the subtle hum of energy vibrating through the trees. The twins, now stronger and more aware than ever, stirred within her arms, tiny glows pulsing with life and power. Even as infants, they radiated an aura that drew the pack closer, instinctively protective, reverent, and curious. Kale sat beside her, eyes scanning the horizon as always. "They are growing faster than I expected," he murmured, awe-threading his voice. "Stronger, sharper, they are extraordinary." Lyria smiled, cradling them. "They're learning from us. From you. From the bond we share. They already understand what it means to be a family, to be powerful." Suddenly, the twins reacted to a distant sound, an intruder approaching, not a rival pack but a lone wolf, small but bold. Before Cal could even shift, a subtle wave of energy pulsed from the twins, amplified by Lyria's own power. The intruder froze mid-step, eyes wide, muscles tensing as if an invisible force held it in place. Cal's jaw tightened. "They did that?" he asked, incredulous. "They did," Lyria whispered, awe in her voice. "They're already aware. They're already protecting the pack." The rogue wolf, sensing the immense power it faced, whimpered and retreated, never daring to approach the territory again. Lyria could feel the twins' satisfaction. A quiet, radiant confidence pulsing from their small bodies. Even as infants, they had made their first mark, asserting dominance and protecting their family. Kale pressed his lips to Lyria's temple, pride shining in his eyes. "Our children, they are more than I ever imagined. You've given me everything, Lyria, and they are the future." Lyria nodded, feeling warmth radiate through her chest. "We are shaping a legacy together. They're not just ours. They're the Ironclaws." The pack gathered around, wolves and other supernatural creatures alike, sensing the twins' presence. Even the older members, initially cautious of Lyria's newfound power, bowed instinctively to the infants, recognizing the force that radiated from them. Cal's hands rested on Lyria's shoulders, steady and commanding. "The world will come for them eventually," he said. "They will test their strength, just as it will test ours. But for now we witness the beginning. Our family, our power, our legacy is undeniable." Lyria smiled, feeling the twins stir once more. "And together nothing can challenge us. Not curses, not enemies, not time itself." Under the silver glow of the moon, Kyle, Lyria, and their extraordinary children sat together, a perfect harmony of strength, love, and destiny. The twins' first independent display of power marked the start of a new era for the Ironclaw pack, one where the Omega, once rejected, the Alpha King, and their supernatural heirs would shape the supernatural world forever. The legacy had begun, and nothing could stop it. Part 12 of the twins' growing power. The Ironclaw pack had settled into a fragile peace, but nothing about Lyria, Kyle, or the twins was ordinary. Each day, the children's power grew, subtle yet undeniable. They could sense emotions, manipulate energy in tiny pulses, and even influence weaker wolves' instincts, bending their behavior with an almost imperceptible force. Lyria watched them in awe, cradling one in her arms while Kale knelt beside them, his alpha senses alert and proud. "They're more than children," Kale murmured. "They're forces of nature, and the pack already recognizes it." Lyria nodded, exhausted but glowing with a quiet power. "They've inherited more than our strength. They've inherited our bond. They understand family, loyalty, protection. Even at this age, they're shaping the pack around them." The peace was short-lived. From the shadows, rival packs and rogue supernatural forces began testing boundaries, probing the Ironclaw territory for weaknesses. Lyria could feel their approach before Kyle even saw them. Subtle tremors in the air, the ripple of dark intent. The twins responded immediately, tiny pulses of energy flaring outward, warning their parents and alerting the pack. Cal rose, silver fur gleaming under the moonlight, eyes flashing with determination. "They're learning fast," he said, voice low and controlled, "and we'll make sure they survive every test." As a small group of infiltrators attempted to cross into the territory, the twins reacted instinctively. One emitted a pulse that disoriented their foes, while the other's gaze, tiny but sharp, sent a wave of influence over the pack, uniting them in perfect harmony. Lyria felt the combined energy wash over her, her own powers magnified by their synergy. Together, they created a force that no rival could withstand. The infiltrators fled, humiliated and terrified, leaving the Ironclaw pack stronger and more united than ever. Kale held Lyria close, his hand resting protectively over her shoulder, eyes filled with pride and unspoken love. "They're extraordinary," he whispered, Just like you, just like me, only better. Lyria smiled, feeling the twins stir against her chest. And together, she said softly, nothing can ever challenge us. Not enemies, not curses, not even fate itself. The pack gathered around, sensing the power of the family that led them. Wolves who had once doubted Lyria's strength now looked to her with reverence. The Omega once rejected had become the heart of a growing legend, a legacy that would endure for generations. Kale kissed her forehead, murmuring, the world may try to test us, but our bond, our family, is unbreakable. And as the moon cast silver light across the Ironclaw territory, Lyria, Kyle, and their extraordinary twins stood united. A perfect harmony of love, power, and destiny, ready to face whatever challenges the supernatural world would throw at them next. The twins' journey had just begun, and their legacy was already undeniable. Part 3: The Twins' Power Unleashed. The twins were no longer merely infants. They were becoming forces that could shape reality around them. Every day, Lyria and Kale marveled at their abilities, the subtle manipulation of energy, the ability to sense danger before it arrived, and the uncanny influence they had over the pack. One night, under a moonlit sky heavy with silver light, the twins stirred unusually. Lyria felt a surge of power coursing through her, amplified by the children she carried moments ago, her connection with them stronger than ever. They were ready to show the world the extent of their legacy. Kale, standing at her side, eyes sharp and alert, growled low. They sensed something danger. Lyria nodded, holding them close. Yes, but they are ready, so are we. From the shadows, a coalition of rival packs, older, larger, and more cunning than any they had faced before, approached, confident that the Omega and Alpha King could be overpowered. But as they entered Ironclaw territory, they were met with a force unlike anything seen before. The twins, glowing faintly, projected energy waves that disrupted the invaders' senses. Wolves faltered mid-step, rival alphas growled in confusion, and instinctive fear rippled through the challengers. Lyria channeled her own strength, amplifying the twins' power. While Kale led the Ironclaw warriors with unparalleled ferocity, the battle was swift and decisive. The twins' energy pulses, guided by their parents' bond, turned the tide, forcing the rivals to retreat in terror. Even the most experienced alphas had never encountered a family whose combined power radiated so completely. Alpha, Omega, and children as one. Cal held Lyria tightly as the last of the rivals fled, his voice low and fierce. They are ours, and no one will ever harm them. No one will ever touch you, Lyria. Lyria, exhausted but glowing with power, pressed her forehead to his. We are stronger than I ever imagined together. We've transformed a curse into something unstoppable. The twins stirred in response, their tiny fists glowing faintly, almost as if acknowledging the Alpha King's words. Their power was no longer hidden, it had begun to define the Ironclaw legacy. The pack gathered around, sensing the energy radiating from the family. Wolves bowed, murmurs of awe spreading through the ranks. Lyria smiled, tears welling in her eyes. The Omega, once rejected and cursed, had become the heart of a legend that would shape the supernatural world for generations. Kale kissed her gently, murmuring against her lips, we are unstoppable. Our family, our legacy, nothing can break it. And beneath the full moon, the Ironclaw Alpha, his Omega, and their extraordinary twins stood united. Their bond was eternal, their power undeniable, and their story had only just begun to echo through the lands. The twins' first true display of power was a warning to the world. The Ironclaw legacy had arrived, and nothing would ever challenge it. Part 420: The Ancient Threat. The Ironclaw territory thrived under Kale and Lyria's leadership, yet a whisper of unease lingered in the air. The twins' powers had grown at an unprecedented rate, and while the pack celebrated their strength, far older and darker forces began to take notice. One night, as the moon cast silver shadows across the forest, Lyria felt a chill unlike any she had known. The twins stirred violently, their energy pulsing outward, sensing a presence far older and more dangerous than any rival pack. Kale, she whispered, her voice tense. Something ancient is approaching. Not just a rival, something far older. Kyle's eyes narrowed, muscles coiled with instinctive readiness. I feel it. This is no ordinary threat, but we are ready. We have each other and the twins. Together, nothing can touch us. The very air seemed to warp as the ancient being revealed itself. A shadow of immense size, eyes glowing with dark intelligence, exuding power that chilled the soul. It was a predator of the supernatural world, older than any pack, and it had sensed the unprecedented strength of Kyle, Lyria, and their children. The forest trembled as it approached. The pack formed a defensive circle, every wolf tense and ready. Kyle shifted, fur gleaming, growl low and warning. Lyria's hands glowed with energy as she called upon the twins, their small forms resonating in harmony with her own power. They're strong. The ancient voice hissed, seeping into their minds. But strength alone will not save you. Lyria's grip on the twins tightened, energy surging outward in protective waves. We are more than strong, she said, voice clear and commanding. We are family, and nothing will break us. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Ironclaw pack had faced. The ancient being struck with devastating force, testing Cal's alpha strength and the twins' fledgling abilities. Lyria channeled every ounce of energy, amplifying the twins' power, creating shields that glimmered with silver light, and striking back at the enemy with pulses of raw force. Even as the pack struggled, the bond between Cal, Lyria, and the twins proved unbreakable. The children, tiny yet powerful, reacted instinctively, creating energy barriers and sending shockwaves that disrupted the ancient predator. Cal roared, shifting with unmatched fury, each strike fueled by love, rage, and protection. Finally, with a synchronized surge of power from Lyria and the twins, Cal struck decisively. The ancient presence recoiled, unable to withstand the combined force of the Alpha, Omega, and their children. With one final roar that echoed through the forest, it retreated, vanishing into the shadows. Breathless and trembling, Lyria sank into Cal's arms. "Well, we did it," she whispered, awe and relief in her voice. Cal pressed a gentle kiss to her temple, holding the twins close. "Together," he said firmly, "always together. We are unstoppable. We are the Ironclaw legacy, and nothing will ever destroy us." The pack gathered, murmurs of awe spreading. The Omega, once rejected, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had faced a threat older than any in living memory, and survived. Under the silver moonlight, Lyria, Cal, and the twins stood united, their bond stronger than ever, their power undeniable. The ancient world had tested them, but the Ironclaw legacy had endured, and would continue to grow, shaping the supernatural realm for generations to come. Part 50. The Twins' Full Awakening. The Ironclaw territory had never felt so alive. The forest pulsed with energy, the pack thriving under the Alpha and Omega's guidance, and the twins' power growing by the hour. They were no longer mere infants, they were forces of nature, attuned to their parents, the pack, and the supernatural world around them. Lyria watched in awe as the twins reacted to the forest itself, leaves swaying without wind, streams shifting subtly, and even distant creatures pausing as if in recognition of their presence. Her own energy intertwined with theirs, creating a harmony that amplified their abilities beyond anything she had imagined. Cal knelt beside her, eyes glowing with pride. "They've reached a new level," he murmured. "Their power, it's beyond anything I could have predicted." Lyria smiled, feeling the twins' energy pulse against her chest. "They are a part of us, Cal. And yet they are already carving their own path, their own legacy." The full awakening came one night under a rare celestial alignment. The twins, sensing the convergence of cosmic energy, emitted waves of power that illuminated the entire territory. The forest shimmered, the pack instinctively bowing, and even distant supernatural beings paused in awe. Cal held Lyria tightly, his voice low and reverent. "They are extraordinary. This is their true power." Lyria felt it too. The twins' awareness, their influence, their connection to the supernatural forces around them. They could manipulate energy, influence creatures, and even sense intentions. Their presence was a declaration the Ironclaw legacy had arrived, unstoppable and eternal. The pack erupted in celebration, not just for their survival, but for the family that had transformed them all. Wolves, once doubtful, now recognized Lyria's unmatched strength, Cal's unparalleled leadership, and the twins' extraordinary power. But even as they celebrated, the shadows watched. Forces older and more cunning than the rival packs lingered, aware now of the twins' full awakening. The Ironclaw family had grown stronger, but the world was beginning to take notice, and the challenges ahead would demand everything Kyle, Lyria, and their children had to give. Cal pressed his lips to Lyria's temple, murmuring, "No matter what comes, we face it together." "Always." Lyria nodded, cradling the twins. "Together, nothing can touch us. Not enemies, not curses, not fate itself." Under the light of the aligned moons, the Ironclaw Alpha, his Omega, and their fully awakened twins stood united, the forest and the pack around them resonating with their power. The Omega, once rejected, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children, had become a legend in the making, one that would shape the supernatural world for generations to come. The Ironclaw legacy was unstoppable, eternal, and rising. Part fixing. See the twins meet the world. The Ironclaw territory thrummed with energy. The twins, now fully awakened in their powers, were no longer hidden secrets. They were recognized by the pack, the forest, and even distant supernatural forces. Lyria and Cal knew it was time to introduce their extraordinary children to the wider world, to allies and potential rivals alike. One crisp morning, Cal led a delegation from the Ironclaw pack to the edge of their territory, accompanied by Lyria and the twins cradled in her arms. Wolves from neighboring packs, emissaries of supernatural families, and curious onlookers gathered, murmuring at the sight of the twins. "They are more than legends," Cal said, voice carrying across the assembly. "They are the future, and they carry the legacy of the Ironclaw pack, the strength of family, love, and power united." Lyria smiled as the twins responded instinctively, tiny waves of energy rippling outward. The ground beneath them seemed to hum, the air shimmering, and even the most skeptical observers stepped back in awe. One of the neighboring alphas, a seasoned leader named Dorian, approached cautiously. "I've heard tales," Dorian said, eyes wide as he looked at the twins. "But this is beyond anything I imagined." Lyria nodded, pride swelling in her chest. "They are our children, and they are not just strong, they are aware, they are protective, and they are part of something greater than any curse or challenge the world can offer. Kale's gaze swept the assembly, authoritative and commanding. We have invited you here not just to witness their power, but to recognize the Ironclaw legacy. Together, we can forge alliances, protect the supernatural world, and ensure that our kind thrives in unity rather than conflict. The twins stirred, tiny hands glowing faintly, interacting with the energy of those around them. It was a demonstration of their abilities, subtle but undeniable. The assembly murmured in astonishment as they felt the twins' influence, an aura of protection and dominance that resonated deeply. Lyria looked up at Kale, whispering, "They're ready. They've grown beyond anything I imagined, and the world will soon learn that the Omega once rejected is now the heart of a legacy that cannot be broken." Cal pressed his forehead to hers, voice low and certain. "Together, we will guide them. And together, we will face whatever challenges the world dares to throw at us." As the day turned to night, the Ironclaw pack returned home, the twins nestled safely between their parents. The forest around them seemed to pulse with their energy, a silent promise that the family's influence was spreading. The Omega once cursed, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had begun to leave an indelible mark on the supernatural world. And as the moons shone brightly above, Lyria felt a surge of certainty. No matter the enemies, no matter the threats, the Ironclaw legacy would rise unstoppable, eternal, and bound by love, power, and family. The twins had met the world, and the world would never be the same again. Part 1: The Unforeseen Powers. The Ironclaw pack had never been stronger, yet Lyria could feel that the twins were evolving even faster than she and Kale had anticipated. Each day revealed new layers of their abilities: telepathy, energy manipulation, and even subtle shifts in the environment around them. They were no longer simply children. They were prodigies of supernatural power. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the forest was bathed in twilight, Lyria held the twins close. She could feel their tiny pulses synchronizing with her own, and something new stirred. A power neither she nor Kale had expected. "They're trying something," Lyria whispered, awe in her voice. "I can feel it, it's different." Kale knelt beside her, eyes scanning the area with an alpha's precision. "I feel it too. Watch them closely." The twins' energy surged, responding to a disturbance beyond the territory. A distant group of rival wolves had attempted subtle sabotage, leaving traps and small magical wards at the borders of the Ironclaw lands. But the twins, even in their infancy, recognized the threat instantly. Tiny waves of energy radiated outward, neutralizing the traps, disrupting the wards, and creating a protective barrier that pulsed with resonance. Even Kale stepped back in shock, sensing the sheer potency of their newfound power. They just removed everything," Kale said, voice low and incredulous. "Incredible, they're controlling energy itself." Lyria's heart swelled with pride and wonder. "They are more than we imagined, and they're learning on their own." The pack gathered around, sensing the twins' power surge. Wolves murmured in awe, bowing instinctively to the tiny children who had just demonstrated an ability that even seasoned alphas could not match. Lyria and Kale shared a quiet look of love and determination. Kale pressed a hand to her shoulder, voice soft but firm. "They are our legacy, Lyria, and we will guide them, protect them, and show the world that the Ironclaw family is unstoppable." Lyria nodded, feeling the twins stir against her chest. "We've faced rejection, curses, enemies, and now we've created a family stronger than anything the supernatural world has ever seen." As night fell and the moons shone brightly above, the Ironclaw pack settled, secure in the knowledge that their children were no longer just hares. They were forces of nature. The twins' unforeseen powers had changed everything, setting the stage for an era where the Omega once cursed, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary offspring would dominate the supernatural world with strength, wisdom, and unbreakable love. The future of the Ironclaw legacy was no longer uncertain, it was unstoppable. Part 80: Diplomacy and Challenge. The Ironclaw territory had become a beacon of power and unity in the supernatural world. Lyria and Kel's twins were no longer mere children. They were prodigies, capable of influencing creatures far beyond their years. The time had come to introduce them to other supernatural factions, forging alliances and establishing the Ironclaw legacy as unchallenged and respected. Lyria carried the twins into the clearing where emissaries from neighboring packs, Fae clans, and even elemental spirits had gathered. The air buzzed with tension and curiosity. Rumors of the Omega once cursed, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had spread far and wide, attracting attention from allies and rivals alike. Cal's voice rang out, commanding and authoritative. "You are here not merely to witness power, but to recognize it. This family, the Ironclaw pack, stands united. The twins you see are the future of this world, and they carry the legacy of strength, love, and protection." The twins responded instinctively. Tiny pulses of energy radiated outward, subtly testing the intentions of those present. Wolves stepped back, Fae murmured in wonder, and spirits shimmered with recognition. The twins' presence alone commanded respect, a living testament to the power of unity and family. One of the elder alphas, a seasoned leader named Thorian, stepped forward cautiously. "I have heard the tales. he said, eyes wide, but to see them, your children are unlike anything I've ever witnessed. If what I feel is true, the Ironclaw legacy is more than strength, it is destiny. Lyria smiled, holding the twins close. They are not just strong, they are aware. They learn, they protect, and they understand the responsibility that comes with power. We will guide them, and they will guide the world toward balance, not chaos. But even in this gathering of peace, shadows lingered. Rival packs, envious of the Ironclaw influence, plotted in secret, waiting for a moment to exploit any weakness. The twins' abilities had disrupted the natural order, and not everyone welcomed such unprecedented power. Kyle, sensing the tension, stepped beside Lyria, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. Let them come, he growled. The Ironclaw pack is stronger than any scheme or rival. We are united and we will not falter. The gathering ended with acknowledgement of the twins' power and respect for the Ironclaw pack. Allies offered pledges of support, and even cautious rivals withdrew for now, recognizing that the family's combined strength was not to be underestimated. As night fell, Lyria held the twins under the silver light of the moons. They are growing faster than I ever imagined, she murmured, awe and love in her voice. Kale kissed her temple, his voice steady and proud. And they will continue to grow. We will protect them, guide them, and together nothing will ever break this family. The Omega once rejected the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had begun to leave an indelible mark on the supernatural world. Diplomacy, strength, and unbreakable bonds ensured that the Ironclaw legacy was not just surviving. It was thriving, shaping the balance of power in ways no one had ever seen. The twins had met the world, and the world had bowed in acknowledgement, partnering on the ultimate test. Peace in the Ironclaw territory was never meant to last. The twins' growing power had attracted attention not just from rivals, but from ancient forces that had long slumbered, watching from the shadows. One night, under a blood-red moon, a powerful enemy struck, an alpha from a hidden, dark lineage, possessing abilities designed to rival even Kale himself. The first sign was subtle. The forest trembled, the air thickened, and the pack's instincts screamed danger. Lyria felt the twins stir violently, their energy pulsing in alarm. Kale, something is here. Something dangerous, far beyond anything we've faced. Kale's eyes glowed silver as he shifted, muscles taut. I've sensed it too. This is a challenge we cannot ignore. We protect the pack and our family, whatever it takes. The enemy emerged from the shadows, a wolf of immense size and dark aura, radiating power that seemed to suck the warmth from the air. Ironclaw Alpha, the intruder hissed, voice like grinding stone. Your reign ends tonight. Your Omega, your children, they are nothing compared to the strength I wield. Kale growled, stance firm and commanding. You underestimate us. You will see that strength is nothing without unity and love. The twins, nestled in Lyria's arms, reacted instinctively. Tiny but blinding pulses of energy flared, resonating with the protective aura Lyria projected. Kyle leapt into action, the Alpha King's power a storm of silver fur and fangs, as the pack formed a defensive circle around their leaders. The battle that followed was epic. Energy waves clashed, shaking the forest. The enemy struck with lethal precision, but Kale's ferocity and Lyria's amplified energy shields repelled every attack. The twins, though small, channeled bursts of raw power, destabilizing the intruder's focus and turning the tide of the fight. Lyria's voice rang out, commanding and fearless. Our family is stronger than your darkness. You will not touch us. Kyle's roar joined hers, harmonizing with the twins' energy pulses. Together, they became a force beyond comprehension. A perfect blend of alpha strength, omega power, and the unique energy of their extraordinary children. Finally, with a coordinated surge of power, the enemy was driven back, defeated but alive, retreating into the shadows with a growl of frustrated fury. The forest settled, the pack breathing heavily, awe and relief etched on every face. Kale held Lyria tightly, his silver eyes filled with unyielding pride. We survived together. And they, our children, they are more powerful than anyone could have imagined. Lyria smiled through exhaustion, cradling the twins. They are the future, Kale. Our legacy unbreakable, unstoppable, eternal. The pack gathered around, senses tingling with the energy of their leaders and the twins. Wolves that had once doubted now bowed, reverence evident in their every gesture. The Omega once rejected, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had faced their greatest threat, and emerged stronger, united, and more formidable than ever. As the blood-red moon faded, Lyria whispered, no matter what comes, we face it together. Kale pressed a kiss to her temple, voice low and certain. Together. Always. The Ironclaw legacy cannot be broken. The forest pulsed with life, the pack energized, and the twins stirred contentedly in their mother's arms. The ultimate test had passed, and the family's legend had grown immeasurably. The supernatural world would never forget the night the Ironclaw family proved that love, unity, and power combined were a force that no darkness could conquer. Part 20 Training the Legacy. The Ironclaw pack had grown stronger than ever. After surviving the ultimate test, Kale, Lyria, and the twins were now recognized as a force that no rival, rogue, or ancient power could ignore. But strength alone was not enough. The twins needed guidance, training, and mastery over the extraordinary abilities they had inherited. Lyria held the twins close one morning as Kale oversaw the pack. "They are ready," she murmured. "They need to learn to control their power, to understand the responsibility that comes with it." Kale nodded, his gaze firm but gentle. "Then we teach them. We will prepare them to protect the pack, the territory, and the legacy we've created. They are the future of the Ironclaw pack, and of the supernatural world." The training began with simple exercises. Even as infants, the twins responded instinctively, moving energy with surprising precision. They could manipulate their surroundings, sense emotions, and communicate subtly with Kale and Lyria through energy alone. Each success brought awe to the pack and pride to their parents. "Focus," Lyria instructed softly, demonstrating a controlled pulse of energy. The twins mirrored her perfectly, sending a wave of protective aura across the training grounds. Wolves instinctively stepped back, sensing the surge of power radiating from the children. Kyle guided the twins in alpha techniques, teaching them instinctual combat maneuvers and strategies for defending the pack. Though tiny, they absorbed every lesson, their innate abilities magnifying what Kale and Lyria taught. Soon, the twins were demonstrating feats of power that rivaled even seasoned members of the pack, but training was more than just mastering abilities. It was about unity, trust, and family. Lyria held one twin in her arms while Kale held the other, their combined energy creating a protective bubble that strengthened the children's control. The pack watched, inspired by the seamless bond between parents and children. "This is more than power," Lyria said quietly to Kyle. "It's love, trust, and the legacy we leave behind." Kyle pressed his forehead to hers. "It's everything, and we will ensure they carry it forward. Our pack, our family, our legacy, unbroken, unstoppable, eternal." As the moons rose high, casting silver light over the training grounds, the twins stirred, energy radiating from them in dazzling bursts. The pack, unified and inspired, recognized that the Ironclaw family was no longer just a leadership. They were a living symbol of strength, unity, and destiny. The Omega once rejected the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had begun a new chapter. The twins' training was not merely about mastering abilities. It was about shaping the future of the supernatural world, ensuring that the Ironclaw legacy would thrive for generations. Under the silver glow of the moons, Kale, Lyria, and their children stood together, a family perfected by love, power, and unbreakable bonds. The supernatural world would never forget them. The legacy of the Ironclaw pack had truly begun. Part 2 in one scene, the twins' first mission. The Ironclaw pack had grown strong, and the twins' powers were unmatched for their age. Kale and Lyria knew it was time for them to take their first steps beyond the safety of the territory, to interact with the world and demonstrate the strength and wisdom they were destined to wield. "You're ready," Kale said, holding Lyria's hand as they watched the twins. "But remember, this mission is as much about guidance as it is about protection. They will face unknowns today." Lyria nodded, her eyes reflecting pride and caution. "We've trained them, Kyle. Now it's time they see the world, understand it, and learn to influence it with wisdom." The mission was diplomatic. A distant supernatural council had requested a meeting with the Ironclaw pack, curious and cautious about the twins' powers. Wolves from rival packs, fey emissaries, and elemental guardians awaited their arrival. Lyria carried one twin, Kale the other, and the family entered the council's clearing with calm authority. A hush fell as the twins emitted a subtle wave of energy, scanning the assembly. Each delegate instinctively acknowledged their presence, sensing the aura of protection and authority surrounding them. Even the most skeptical of the council members bowed slightly, recognizing the children's extraordinary potential. One elder wolf, leader of a prominent rival pack, stepped forward. "The tales of your children have reached us," he said, voice wary, "but to witness their power firsthand, it is remarkable. The Ironclaw legacy is unlike anything our world has ever seen." The twins responded instinctively, radiating energy that conveyed calm, trust, and authority. Their aura reassured allies and commanded respect from potential rivals. Lyria smiled proudly. They are aware of their influence, their responsibility, and their place in the supernatural world. "This is only the beginning," Kyle added, his voice steady and commanding. "We are here not to dominate, but to protect, to guide, and to unite. Our family's strength is meant to ensure balance, not chaos." The twins represent a new era, one of unity, power, and unwavering protection. The council murmured, impressed by the seamless coordination of Alpha, Omega, and their extraordinary children. Even seasoned leaders could not ignore the force of their presence. By the end of the meeting, the twins had successfully demonstrated their first real diplomatic influence, resolving tension, inspiring cooperation, and establishing the Ironclaw family as a respected and unchallenged power. As the family returned to their territory, Lyria cradled the twins, smiling at Kale. "They've done it, and they didn't even need us to intervene. They are already shaping the world." Kyle pressed his lips to her temple, pride and love in his eyes. "And we will guide them through everything that comes next. Our family, our pack, our legacy, it is unstoppable." The twins' first mission was complete. They had stepped into the wider world, demonstrating power, wisdom, and unity. The supernatural realm would never forget the day the Ironclaw family asserted their place as rulers, protectors, and the living embodiment of legacy. The Omega once cursed, the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had taken their first true steps towards shaping history. The Ironclaw legacy was rising, and nothing could stand in their way. Part 22: The Twins' First Field Challenge. The Ironclaw family had returned from the council, their reputation strengthened, yet the world outside the territory remained unpredictable. Kale and Lyria knew that diplomacy was only part of the twins' journey. They needed to face real danger to understand their true power. One morning, scouts reported unusual activity near the borders. Rogue supernatural entities testing the Ironclaw defenses. Lyria held the twins close, their tiny energy pulses already alert to the approaching threat. Kale, they sense it. Something is coming, she said, her voice calm but tense. Kale's eyes narrowed, muscles coiled with instinctive readiness. Then we let them see it. It's time the twins face their first real challenge. The family moved to the perimeter of their territory. The twins, perched safely in Lyria's arms, radiated a protective aura that extended far beyond their size. The approaching rogues faltered as the twins' energy pulsed, signaling an unseen but undeniable power. The first wave of attackers came, a small but aggressive pack seeking to test the Ironclaw family's strength. Kale shifted, silver fur bristling, as he led the defense. Lyria amplified the twins' protective aura, creating a shimmering barrier that forced the rogues to hesitate. Then, instinctively, the twins acted. One extended a tiny pulse of energy, disorienting the intruders, while the other sent a subtle mental nudge that aligned the Ironclaw pack's defensive strategy perfectly. Wolves moved in flawless synchrony, each attack and counterattack guided by the twins' influence. Kale and Lyria watched, astonished and proud. They are leading, Kale whispered. Even at this age, they are guiding the pack. The rogue pack, overwhelmed by the coordination, strategy, and raw power of the Ironclaw family, began to retreat. Kale and Lyria did not pursue. Their goal was not destruction but demonstration of control, unity, and influence. The twins' first field challenge had been a complete success. Lyria cradled the twins, energy still shimmering faintly around them. They did it, they led the pack, protected the territory, and handled danger on their own. Kyle pressed his forehead to hers, voice steady and proud. This is only the beginning. They will continue to grow, to learn, and to shape the world. Nothing, no rival, no curse, no enemy, can break this family. The pack gathered around, admiration and awe evident in every gaze. The Omega once rejected the Alpha King, and their extraordinary children had faced their first field threat, and emerged stronger, united, and unstoppable. As the moons cast silver light over the Ironclaw territory, Lyria, Kyle, and their twins stood together, a perfect harmony of power, love, and destiny. The Ironclaw legacy had faced its first true field challenge, and the future shone brighter than ever. The twins were no longer just children. They were leaders in their own right, ready to shape the supernatural world with their parents guiding every step.